Hey everybody, it's Robin from Roaming with Rover, and this is Finish It Friday. So here we are again, and I am going to be giving you a quick update on what I worked on this week. So no, of course I did not finish anything, and to be honest, I don't think I've got anything that is anywhere near being finished off the top of my head that I can think of anyway. So first off, I would appreciate it if you would give us a little thumbs up, and please subscribe if you haven't already. It helps us out tremendously, and it doesn't cost you anything. I am so thankful for those of you who keep popping in and watching us every week. It is so much fun to see your names come up in the comments. It really brightens my day to see all of that. I was just looking through here at these things that I made. So what are we going to talk about? It's been funny for me because you guys know me. I work on a million different projects all the time. And for some reason, that is not happening. My little brain is stuck on these same two projects. So what's going on with me is Miss Dana at Wanderlust Crochet is doing this spearheading, just getting started on this project, and it is called, am I going to get this right? It's hashtag Spring Square Swap. And what we're doing is we are crocheting 10-inch squares. And what you have to do is contact Miss Dana, and I'll put her contact information down below. And also I will link a video down below where it explains much better than I can what you're doing. But basically, you're going to crochet 12 10-inch squares. And I was getting that backwards for a while, but you're going to make 12 squares that are 10 inches. Excuse me. And you're going to contact Miss Dana, tell you want to play along, and she'll put you on a list in a group of 12 people. And then you're going to exchange squares with those people. You're going to mail out 11 of them, and you're going to keep one of them for yourself. And then when you get all of those squares, you're going to connect them together and make what I'm calling a friendship blanket. So you'll receive 11 squares in the mail from other people. And once I started making mine, I found a pattern that I liked, and I talked about this last week, and a couple people had asked me for the pattern, and I'm like, oh, I don't even know where I got my pattern from. And I looked on my pattern pages, and of course there was no name on there, so I had to dig around and figure out where I got my pattern from, and I had saved it. Luckily I had saved it on Pinterest, and it came from The Unraveled Mitten, and that's the name of her channel, The Unraveled Mitten. And since I found this pattern, I have dug around in her channel and found lots and lots of patterns that I liked. But this particular one came from a crochet along that she was involved with in 2021. And you know, I was just bouncing around looking at blocks, and I came across this. And actually, now that I've said that, I don't even think that this is correct. So this was the crochet along where that block was, but I think once you get in there and dig around, I think you find out that this block came from somebody else. So let me go in here now. Yes, the block comes from somebody called Grace and Yarn. And as I recall, yes, because this, oh, there's so many things. That was the actual block that I found the pattern from. So Grace and Yarn is where you're going to go. And I recall I had to dig a little bit once I got to Grace and Yarn, and it was a free pattern. But once I got to Grace and Yarn, I had to dig around a little bit to get to this actual pattern. So if I can dig around some more and find this actual pattern, I will link it below. because I remember I got to the website and then I couldn't find the pattern, and then I had to, because she's got a list of my free patterns, but it wasn't included in there. And so it did take some doing to get to it. And it's like, click here, and then you click there, and it wasn't there. So, but I did find it. I did find it eventually. So I'll do my best to find said pattern. And if you want, well, I'm wondering if, now that I'm thinking that, I'm wondering if that pattern is here. Oh, here it is. It's called, and the funny thing is, I forgot to tell you guys this. It's called, Miss Dana, it is called the Willamette Valley Square. Isn't that funny? And the only difference is this one here, she changes the colors, you know, every couple of rows. And I didn't do that. I just kept going with the same one. But it's called the Willamette Valley Square. So this particular one just has the row changes. So I can link this one, this pattern, and just don't do the row changes. And then this will also, if you want, you can then go find hers as well. Will that work? What's the pattern in here? I think it is. I think it is. I think it is. That should work. Click here to see this works pattern on Grayson yarn. Maybe I made it harder. There we go. As usual, I made it harder than it needed to be. So you clicked here and it took you right to it. Okay, so pin this pattern for later. And there it is. Now I should be able to get it to you guys. Okay, it's right there. So, super easy pattern. It's a 4-row repeat. For me, I printed the pattern out, and then once I made it once or twice, the only thing I even ever now have to look at is just these first 2 rows, just to remember how many rows I do before I get into the actual pattern. So you start down here with the magic circle, and then you go the magic circle, and then you do 1 row, and then you do 1 row, and then you do, so by the time you get to the 4th row, which is right there, you're actually starting the repeat. And then it's the design, which is a front post, back post, front post double crochet design, and then you do a row of double crochet, and then you do this row of the blocks where you're doing a double crochet, chain, skip, double crochet, chain, skip, and then a row of double crochet, and then the front post double crochet. That's the entire thing. So every other row is a row of double crochet, and then you've got the 2 pattern ones. That's the whole thing. So, you know I'm using the Mandala yarn, and it's that word I can't say, and even though Steve put in the notes how to say it, I wonder if I can pronounce it. I wonder if I can pronounce it with Steve's note. He said it's called Chimera, which is a mythical female fire-breathing monster. I like it. So I had 2 skeins of that, and I don't have the label, so I cannot tell you how many yards is on it, but it's the basic mandala, and I got 1, 2, this one's beautiful, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, not really. I got 5 and a half, because as you can see right there, so the orangey fall color ones, it ended right there, and that's where I added on my second ball. So all of this blue and green came from my second ball. So basically I got 5 and a half squares from 1 ball of yarn. So you can totally see where, now that I've pointed it out, you can totally see where I started the second skein of yarn. And I'm not messing with color controls at all. And it was funny because my second skein of yarn had this blue on the inside and the outside. So it wouldn't have mattered which end I started with. It would have been blue regardless. Okay, so I'm going to get 11, I think, if I'm counting right. I'm going to get 11 of these from these two skeins. So that means my 12th square is going to have to come from a third skein. All right, now I want to show you this nifty little tool that Miss Dana told me about. And this thing, oh, what is it called? What is it called? The Yarn Genie. The Yarn Genie. And she uses these all the time, and she's always telling me about this little thing. And because I was worried about going from the outside, and she said, get out your Yarn Genie. And she knew I had one because I won this last year at the Pacific Northwest Crochet Yarny Social, which there's going to be one this year as well. It is in Boise, Idaho, and it's going to be the first weekend in October. I don't have a link that I can put down below, but stay tuned and there will be more information. Okay, so this is called a Yarn Genie, and I did not have any faith in this whatsoever. So what you do, this little doohickey, you just stick your ball of yarn on there in the middle, just plop it right on there all the way down, and then this, I can't believe this thing works. It just pops right on there. It's a really strong magnet, and it just hangs there while you crochet, and so your yarn does not get tangled up under here. It's like magic, and it just comes off while you're crocheting, and it really works well. It really works well for an outside pull, because what I did notice with this was while I was working that inside pull, it was collapsing and it was getting tangled up. And I've noticed that before with cake yarns, that happens a lot. So I thought, okay, I'm going to give this thing a try. And so far, I really, really like it. So far, I really like it. I was a little worried about Kitten, and as of now, she watches it, but she hasn't messed with it. And I was also worried about traveling with it, but I just put it down inside of my yarn bag, and it worked fine. So it just kind of hangs there. It just sits there and rocks back and forth a little bit. It hasn't fallen off of this thing while I worked. I mean, you can see it's moving around. I imagine if you shook it really hard, it'd fall off, but I mean, you can see it's moving pretty good, and it's not falling off. Miss Dana has 2 or 3 of them, I think, that she uses while in her truck, and off she goes, and it works great. So far, I'm pretty impressed with that thing. She gets hers at Amazon, and I've got my Amazon link down below. It's called the Yarn Genie. I don't have one in my list, but if you go down and click on my Amazon list, you can get into Amazon from there and check them out. Sometimes they're sold out, but I'm pretty impressed with that thing. Pretty impressed. Okay, so this is what I've been working on, and it's so weird because I thought I'll get 1 or 2 of these done. I'm just going to keep going. I just want to get these done so they are, and now I still have to block them, of course. So these need to block out to 10 inches. And so I want to get these done. I want to get them blocked and ready to go. I'm going to be ahead of the game on this. So that is the main thing I have been working on this week. Except, as you know, I am running a knit along. Isn't that weird? I know. I'm running a knit along, and the pattern is from the Underground Crafter, and it is called the Anthology Blanket. This is a months-long knit along. We are going very slow, very low key. Each week we do 1 square, and this was 1 week's square. Front, back, front. This was 1 week's square. And when we finished the square, because Miss Pinky Jean came up with the idea of crocheting around the square to make it a little bit bigger, because I wasn't happy with the size my blanket was going to be. And at first I was crocheting, so this is the color that I'm using for my border of the whole blanket, but I only have 1 of these. And at first I was going to crochet, because I'm doing a row of single, a row of half double, and then a row of double, and then my border. And at first, come on baby, I got got so much stuff in here. It's stuck and I don't want, oh, it's stuck on a knitting needle. I was doing all 3 rows in that border. I'm gonna run out if I do that. So then this last couple of weeks, I decided to do the first 2 rows, and I got one to show you. So this is the front. The first 2 rows I'm doing the half double, the single and the half double in the same color as the block, and then the double I will do in the same color as the border, so that border yarn, hopefully I'll have enough. Hopefully I'll have enough. So that's the plan there. So I have these 3, 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, and then this one will go next. And I think it goes, yeah, it was the yellow the first one? Yeah, it was this one, and then this was the second week, this was the 3rd week, this will be the 4th week, so it'll go here. Yeah, so that looks real good with that border. And then this one will go here, and then that's my whole first row, and then we'll start the second row. So that's how that's going. So we do 3 weeks of making squares, and then the 4th week is what we call a catch-up week. So if anybody is behind, or what I'm doing on my catch-up week is getting my squares blocked and getting them connected together. And I think, I don't know, because I've never done this before, I may or may not, because I'll have this row of 5 done. So I don't know if I will take this then and connect it on its own, or if I'll do a whole nother strip and then connect the strip together. I don't know. Miss Cheryl Walls is helping all of us. She's a very, very good knitter. And she's kind of giving us all these tips and things on what we should be doing and what makes things easier. So she'll give us a clue on what's going to make it better. I have a feeling having a strip, it's going to be easier to connect a whole strip than connecting these blocks individually. I don't know. We'll see. And by the way, if any of you are knitters, Miss Cheryl is creating her own, and actually maybe even crocheters. She's going to be putting together her own make-along, possibly starting the beginning of the year once we're done with this, once this project is completed. And it's going to be, she found this to be way, way, way too easy. And so she's creating something that's just kind of next level that we can enjoy and learn from. So I'm very excited for that. So that's it. Literally, I've been super busy. Again, it's with work. My work is really picking up. I'm getting more hours than I'm used to. So literally, this is it. This is the only thing I've worked on. And I'm very excited to be working on these. I'm very excited I'm halfway done. I'm halfway done with my blocks. And I cannot tell you how excited that makes me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, 6. I've got 6 done. Because I have as you guys know, I have a tendency to be a night before the deadline type person, and I am going to be ahead of the game, which makes me happy. So, what do you think about these colors? Yeah, I just love the way this is working out. And I wasn't expecting to love the colors on this thing. I was not expecting to. So, I'm very, very pleased with the way these colors are turning out. And I like this pattern. I had wanted to do something in this pattern, and that's why I picked this pattern. So I wanted to learn how to do it. There. That's the wrong way. And it's easy. Easy. I thought it was going to be tricky. It is not. It is so easy to do. So that's it for this week. Thank you so much for joining me for Finish It Friday, even though there's nothing finished, but we are getting there. I know I don't think I'll finish these blocks this coming week. I'm starting a class, a new knitting class, and You know how excited you get when you start something new. And the deadline for this is down the road. But we'll see. We'll see how far we get along. And I've got craft shows to get ready for. So I have to focus on that a little bit. But anyway, that is that for this week. Thank you so much for joining, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.